Hello, everybody. I'm Meldor, the Aloha shirt psychic without the Aloha shirt. And it's Thursday, and it is the Kevin and Mel hour. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm hanging in there. I wore my wolf shirt today. Isn't this cool?
Yeah.
Because, you know, the wolf is the represents direction of the south. And the picture behind me, you can see the moon. So Grandmother Moon is the keeper of the intuition, and Wolf is all about intuition.
Yeah.
And so Wolf talks to Grandmother Moon. So she gives Wolf the intuition for the wolf to spread onto others. Wolf is also the tribe's greatest teacher. So I figured, since, you know, I'll still wear my Aloha shirts, but I figured,
I like that.
Let's have wolf spirit tonight, direction of the south, too.
I love it.
Our intuition. So, all right, let's get to our comments, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So everybody, please put your comments in all caps, but they're relating to questions of politics here, international politics, weather, world events, that sort of thing. We're not doing any personal questions. I've got some that somebody asked earlier from YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'll just get to those real quick, and then we will go on. All right. I just got to find it.
You're all good.
Let's see here. You know, it never fails whenever I do this. People start texting me.
Yeah.
I lose where I'm at. Okay, here we go.
A lot of good questions coming in today.
Yeah, I thought we did. I'm looking. While I'm looking, maybe you can star stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Darn it. That's not what I wanted. Ever notice when you're trying to do something, you can't do it?
Mm-hmm.
Darn. I can't find it on here, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh, here we go.
Got it?
No, it's for some reason it's just not cooperating. Let me just clear out everything and try again. All right.
In the meantime, if people want to send questions in the chat, all caps, we'll get to as many as possible.
Here we go. Okay, I've got it. Post. All righty, here we are. So I had some earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Sadie Goofy Newfie, I like that. Hi, Sadie. She asked, my husband is currently working at the USAID building in DC. Today, the terminated employees were allowed to return to retrieve their personal belongings. Yeah, they were given 15 minutes. And they were given a time schedule and escorted by a security person like they were criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Security was very high. Employees were escorted by security one at a time and only given 10 to 15 minutes. Will these hardworking people eventually have their positions restored?
And where was this for again? What agency?
USAID.
I do feel like positions will be restored, but it may take a bit of time still.
I see their positions restored after Trump is out of office, and I see USAID reinstated. And what will happen, I feel, is when I predict that when their jobs are reinstated, the amount of time that they were fired, that they won't lose that seniority. In other words, they're not going to say you have to start from scratch.
Mhm.
They'll add that 2 or 3 years to your government seniority and give you the raises you should have had. Not back pay, but the seniority. So
Yeah, I do get jobs being offered for them in the future, action being taken for that. So I get a yes.
okay, all righty. Okay, so some people are asking about the deaths of Gene Hackman, his wife and dog.
Hmm.
I just heard that he died. I didn't really hear anything about the wife and dog. I feel that there's something amiss with it all. I don't.
Mhm.
It doesn't really feel like murder to me.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know if it was suicide or if it was, something in the air. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, something feels a little bit off and a little bit sketchy to me. I don't know if I want. It doesn't necessarily feel like murder, but something just feeling a bit off with that. But I feel like we're gonna get some answers to that sooner rather than later.
Right. I think he was 95, wasn't he? He was up there.
Yeah, I think so.
This is a good one. Luci DeLisi says, "Will Zelensky be safe?" That's a good question.
Yeah, let's take a look. I'll throw a card for him. I feel overall there's protection around him, almost divine protection.
Well, I feel while you're doing the card is that if he makes the agreement to give Trump 50% or the United States 50% of the Ukrainian minerals, all right, then, Trump doesn't even honor the Constitution that he swore to uphold. So for Trump, it's just a worthless piece of paper.
Yeah.
So any kind of treaty or deal that Zelensky signs with Trump, if Zelensky signs it, it's going to be a huge mistake because Trump will renege.
Yeah, he won't honor the agreement I just heard.
And then Trump and Putin are going to work together to try to get Zelensky out so they can put their own puppet in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Do you feel like it's that the deal's will go through?
I feel like the Ukrainian parliament is going to strenuously and vehemently oppose this.
Because I think they're talking about him coming to the U.S., I think tomorrow to sign it.
If he does, I think it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Trump will, pardon my language, rape Ukraine and let the land there for everything he can pull out of it. And part of that money under the table is going to go right in Putin's pocket.
Yeah.
So, I know Zelensky needs U.S. support, but what he's not looking at is the rest of the European Union, and NATO would help him out too. So, and then Trump is saying, well, we're taking 50% of the minerals because Ukraine can pay us back because of the money we gave them. Wrong answer. Because if you think about over X amount of years, the 50% of those minerals, that money that's going to be going into Trump and Elon Musk's pocket, because I'm telling you, behind the scenes, Elon Musk has cut a deal with Trump and the government so that he can put his people there, right, on a contract, and Elon Musk a chunk of that money too.
Oh, well, of course. That's what it's all about, right?
Right. So, I'm like, whoa. So if you think about it, the amount of money that the United States put into Ukraine, if you think about 50% of all that mineral stuff going into Trump and Musk's pocket over the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years, it's not a good deal for Zelensky or Ukraine because the United States will be paid back tenfold. So once Trump is out of office and J.D. Vance is arrivederci, I see American president coming in saying, we're not going to honor that. No.
Well, to answer the question, I got the Ace of Pentacles, so there's investment and security a lot of resources for Zelensky and then the intelligence around it too. So I do feel like he'll be safe and protected.
I feel like he'll be safe, but they still will want him out so they can put their own person in there.
Yeah, I feel with the signing of the deal or coming to an agreement, I do feel like there's still some kind of negotiation, like that they have not agreed upon. So I'm leaning more towards like a yes, that they may come up to some kind of compromise, but there's still some things that they're working out. I pick up.
Any kind of deal Donald Trump has ever had with contractors, with this, with that, he's never paid them. He's never honored it. Right. He's never, but he screwed them out of money, and that's exactly what he's going to do in Ukraine if Zelensky signs this. Somebody asked Trump today, I forget. Oh, the British Prime Minister asked, or somebody from Britain asked Trump, "Well, will you protect Ukraine? Will U.S. stand behind Ukraine, protect from Russia?" And Trump just danced around the answer. Well, we'll have our people there,
of course,
like our contractors. And the one that really fried me is that the king told this foreign minister, whoever it was that was met with Trump today, to ask Trump if he would go to Great Britain and meet with the king.
Yeah.
And Trump accepted. So I'm like, what? These people should be avoiding him like white on rice.
Exactly.
Those people are afraid of him. And I see a lot of countries standing up against him. So,
well, I'll say too, I feel the prime minister, I watched part of their like press conference together, and he did correct Trump quite a few times about like the allies and all of that. But yeah, definitely not ruffling his feathers or overstepping either, which he could have been a little bit,
everybody's treating
more assertive.
Everybody's treating Trump like they did Hitler in the beginning. People liked Hitler in the beginning because his anti-Semitism wasn't showing through right away. Well, it was, but it wasn't. But he took that failing German economy and turned it into a great economy. I'm not saying what he did was right, but in the beginning. But they kowtowed him because they were afraid of him.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on with Trump. But then look how the tide changed. And that's exactly what I see coming for Cittadini. The tide's going to change.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there'll be enough of our allies that really called Trump out too. I mean, maybe it didn't happen today, but I definitely feel like there's more coming out speaking up against him. And he said today he was questioned about calling Zelensky a dictator, and he's such an idiot. Sorry, but he's like, oh, did I call him a dictator? Like he totally forgot that he had even said
He
it.
didn't forget. He knew. Okay, this is a good one. Good afternoon. This is again Sadie Goofy Newfie. Good afternoon. Is Elon Musk's canceling Verizon's contract with the FAA and replacing with his Starlink? Isn't this a conflict of interest? Well, if he replaces it with Starlink, and what did I just say? He's going to do the same thing in Ukraine, put all his contractors in there so he can pocket the money.
Yeah.
If he does that, I'm nervous about our security, our national security, and I'm nervous about where that information is going to go. But I'll give you 3 guesses: Putin, right?
Yeah.
In my psychic opinion, it is a conflict of interest. But all this money that Musk is grabbing, futuristically, once Trump is gone, I see investigation after investigation. I see the government coming in and saying, no, we're canceling those contracts because it number one, they weren't done fairly. And number 2, there was a lot of collusion. And number 3, where did that money go?
Yeah.
So that's
what was the question again? Because I hadn't heard of it. Elon Musk cutting Verizon from.
Is Musk canceling Verizon's contract with the FAA, Federal, I think it's Federal Aviation Administration?
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but I almost feel like that's not going to go through. So I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it, but I'm sure that he's thinking about it.
I'm sure he's thinking about it, but I don't think he'll be successful with it.
Well, Trump gave him a wink and a nod today in a press conference. They said it was like a king holding court, and everybody just sat there and didn't say anything. And I'm so happy with what Elon is doing. Yeah, screwing the American people.
You mean President Musk?
That's who I put here. I put, who was president, Trump or Musk? Who was vice president? Vance or Musk? Because they said J.D. Vance sat there and didn't say a word.
Yeah.
Maybe he's getting it that he's just a figurehead for Cittadini.
Exactly.
Anyway. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Kelly Harder. Will Doug Ford win tonight's election for the Premier of Ontario, Canada?
Doug Ford?
I don't know. I don't know who or what he represents. But I do feel like Canadian democracy will be safe. They're not... I don't think they're going to take the route of super MAGA like we did here.
Yeah. I threw a couple of cards. It looks good for him. Celebration, support with the Three of Cups, the Magician. So he has all the tools to be successful. And he's able to stand up for the he's up for the fight. So I get a yes. Like I said, I'm not really familiar on that election, but
let me Google it real quick. What will we do without our cell phones, right? Okay. Oops, I just lost it. Ford said he wants to be premier forever on eve of Ontario snap election. Doug Ford takes on Elon Musk, the latest twist in Canada's trade feud with Trump. Oh, and Trump said he's going to go ahead with those tariffs. So whoever wins in Canada is going to say, okay, you do that, then we're putting a tariff of 100% on United States.
Who's putting a tariff on the United States?
I said Trump is going to go ahead and go through with the tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
Yeah.
And when he does that, whoever gets elected in Canada is going to say, okay, Donald, go right ahead. But if you do that, we're putting 100% tariff on any goods from United States that come into Canada.
Yeah, I feel like the tariffs are going to be such an epic disaster. It's only going to last for a couple months before the reverse.
Well, Doug Ford is Canada. He's right wing, but he's Trump. He's Canada's anti-Trump person. So, he's got a head on this as Canada is not for sale. So whoever gets in office is not going to kowtow to Trump. I can tell you that right now. So then Trump's going to start vilifying Canada. But remember, our Canadian friends out there, at least 50 or 60% of us Americans love Canada and we're pro-Canada, no matter what happens. So you think he's going to win, Kevin, huh?
I got a yes. So
do I, actually. Anyway, he's a conservative, but
I mean, I've been saying I haven't felt the best about
Trudeau.
I felt like there's some changes going on in Canada. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong.
Well, the Maple MAGAs won't get in, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like there's enough. Because don't they have like coalition governments like where they work together and stuff? I feel like it's not like a super majority, or I feel like they're going to have to work together.
I think the way they do it is they elect members of the parliament, and then the parliament gets together.
I got it.
The head of the party, the parliament then puts in the prime minister. I could have it wrong, but I don't know how it works in the House of Commons. I got to read up on it. But okay. Lorraine says, hi, Lorraine Cisneros. When will Trump be out? 1 year, 2 year, 3 years? Thank you, Mel and Kevin.
Well, timing's always the hardest thing to predict, right? I don't even feel like he'll finish a year, but that's just me.
I see two. I don't know if it's 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 years. I do know during the midterms, I predicted the Dems will take back over the House and the Senate. But I just can't see Trump in office at all. I'm just having when I try to
JD Vance taking over either, so I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I see the same thing. It's like I can't see either one of them in office.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Meg says, "Hi, Mel and Kevin. Was the bruised Cittadini covered over with makeup to hide him getting an IV or injury from using blood thinners?"
I feel like it was from an IV. Like they blew a vein in the hand because it was like a huge bruise all over his hand.
It sounds like an IV.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a yes to that because if it infiltrates and he's old, a lot of times are those veins or those little capillaries break and can cause a huge hematoma or bruise.
Yeah.
I still see dark clouds all around Donald Trump. And whenever I see that, it means huge ill health.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not thinking his health is in very good standing.
Yeah. Emily makes a good point, too. He's had those bruises on his hands before. Yeah.
Sometimes liver issues can cause that. But when I try to see a long-term future for him, I can't see anything. And whenever that happens, it means the person doesn't have a long-term future. Meaning,
yeah, I've been saying the same thing.
Not even a year. I don't know what happens to Vance, but I don't see him in office either.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Okay. The dismantling of agencies in the USA, are we safe from a terrorist action, foreign or domestic? That's a very good question because our national security is at risk. Will Russia invade or attack any Baltic territory or Poland?
Yeah. I do feel like it feels more like it's, well, I guess both foreign and domestic terrorism. I feel like everybody's talking about March and April being huge months, and I actually got a huge hit of like massive protests and civil unrest, and I actually saw like buildings on fire. So I do feel like there's definitely going to be, for entertainment purposes only, some kind of action in our country.
I agree. I keep seeing people massively protesting. I see somebody coming up in power in the Latino community, commensurate what Martin Luther King was to our African American community, a real leader. I see, I can't tell if it's an independent or a Dem, but somebody coming up that's really fiery. I mean, really fiery. Just boom. I mean, more fiery than T-Rump.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I feel a lot of women too with this fiery progressive energy coming through.
Yeah, and not going to take more fiery than Elizabeth Warren. I love Elizabeth Warren. And we'll just call Donald Trump what he is, an insurrectionist, a traitor, and a convicted felon. But I mean, just what do you think you're doing, Donald? And call everybody to stand united, and him ignoring the Constitution is going to. But what I want to ask you about this.
Yeah.
What I'm nervous about with all the massive protests I see coming, there's something huge coming in March. I feel it. I get the feeling he wants that because then he can declare martial law. And if he can do that, then he can stay in office.
Yeah. We chatted about this last week on my channel, and I felt the exact same thing, Mel.
It keeps hitting me so strong. It won't go away. It's like an obsession.
But do you feel like if he does something like that, I feel like he does something, so dangerous and disruptive, I almost feel like the Republicans have no choice but to condemn him. And actually, I feel like them starting to turn on him as well.
If he tried to do that, everyone would turn against him. I feel. No, we're not safe from terrorist action. And in fact, I do see some terrorist action, both domestic and foreign.
Yeah.
Not blowing up airplanes, thank goodness. And Trump will blame DEI, he'll blame whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I think I just see it happening.
Mm-hmm. What was it before his last term? What Antifa? Was that what they called
yeah.
it? It's going to be kind of like that, but I feel like the energy feels like it's times 10. It's just kind of what I'm picking. It's going to be crazy.
But, he'd be the type to engineer something like that, just like Hitler engineered the burning of the Reichstag, so he could gain more popularity and take over government. He's thinking about something along those lines.
I agree.
I have said all along, Putin's plan was to be able to take over Ukraine. Then he could go into the Baltic republics, down to Moldavia, into Romania, because he wants those countries that were part of the old Soviet Union back. And that's why he said he wouldn't honor any country that joined NATO after 1990. But if he tries that, I don't think he'll invade Poland. That I'm not seeing. But I feel there will be troops everywhere from the European Union and NATO to keep that from happening. It could very easily trigger a world war.
Can I just say, I got such a weird hit over this last weekend. It was like a physical reaction that I had with it that almost knocked me to my knees. It felt like the wind was knocked out of me. My hit with it was, it felt like a huge earthquake coming. It didn't feel like necessarily in the United States, although I do feel more activity on the West Coast as well. But this feels like it's a pretty significant one, maybe over in Asia is what I was picking up. But another thing that hit me was I heard helicopters and planes, like some kind of military operation is kind of the feeling with it. And it felt like it may be like some Europe and related to Russia, but I don't know. I agree with you. That's obviously Putin's plan to, invade Poland and all the Baltic territories. But I don't think I don't foresee that happening, because I don't feel Putin in the picture much longer.
I don't see Putin in the picture, but I know his plan.
Yeah.
That's what he and Trump are, and so they're already in Ukraine. And where will those minerals go? All that stuff, part to Putin, because Trump or Musk under the table will sell the stuff to Putin.
Oh, yeah.
And when they're going to look at the money in Fort Knox, I laugh because Putin just sold 800 million in gold. I'm like, So why all of a sudden is Trump and Musk going to Fort Knox to see if there's any gold there? I think they've already funneled it out.
Okay.
No, well, there's no gold there. We went, we checked. Yeah, because you took it out.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not necessarily picking that up. It feels like it's a big distraction. And
it is. It is a distraction. But it's to hide what they're doing over here,
Yeah. Well, definitely there's been channels of money being exchanged there for a while.
Totally. But you're seeing planes and were they like
helicopters? It's some kind of a military operation is what I feel.
Sponsored by the United States or in Europe, or
to me it felt like it was connected to Europe.
Okay. Well, that segues right into this next question. Antoinette's granddaughter. Hi, Antoinette's granddaughter. Hi, Mel and Kevin. Will Macron's visit and 45 siding with Russia at the UN, will NATO call Article 5 to help the U.S. with election interference or necessary aid to fight fascism? Well, if any of those NATO countries like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Romania, any of those NATO countries come under attack, they will call Article 5. Oh,
I agree. I I definitely, I've said this for a while. A lot of our allies overseas are definitely know a lot about the election interference. And I do feel like information coming out about that. I don't know if it calls Article 5 per se, but it almost seems like it gets to a point too, is, you know, NATO and our allies overseas just stop sharing a lot of that intel and information with the U.S. because we can't be trusted with him in charge.
That brings up a question.
Mm-hmm.
Will Trump pull out of NATO? He's threatening to do it.
I don't think so. No, I'm getting a no. But I agree that it's definitely a threat there and something he's considering. But I don't get that.
Well,
would that be something that he can do by himself, or would that have to be voted on?
Well, he can say he can do it by himself. I don't know how legal that would be, but I feel like he's going to be threatening it, and he's going to do that to bully NATO. But it's you know, the head of NATO is going to say, "You're not going to bully us. You're going to do it. Go ahead." It's an effort to weaken NATO. However,
I think it makes NATO stronger in the end.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And I heard too that NATO just gave a lot of money and
they did,
you know, resources to Ukraine too. So they're kind of making up for us with Trump in there. So
Wendy Cohn says psychics have hinted at something big happening in March. Can you give us more on that?
I kind of chatted about it a little bit already, I feel.
Yeah, I won't read on what other psychics say. I read, and I'm not being mean about it. I read on what I see, and feel, and I feel something big coming. There's going to be massive protests, like Kevin said. I've been saying that all along. So it's Kevin, and just huge upsets. I'm just nervous about him declaring martial law.
I agree.
This is nice, Debbie. Oh, I got to put this up. Kitty cat. Hi, Mel and Kevin. Such handsomeness. That's a word now.
That's funny. Thank you.
All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Lightly Nancy, I think.
Yeah.
I'm a social worker. Yes, so was I. Hey, Lightly. I am so concerned about my clients that are on Medicaid. Yeah, me too, the people on Medicaid. If that is ripped away, I don't think they will all live. I'm also concerned about people losing help through ACA. I don't know what ACA is. Let me Google it.
Affordable Care Act.
What is it?
Affordable Care Act.
Oh, Affordable Care Act. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't get the abbreviations. I apologize by my own. That is going to go to court about those Medicaid cuts. It hasn't, but it was in the House, but the House, I don't think they passed it yet. They just brought it up, correct?
They brought it up for a vote and it did pass, although it's the framework for it. So a lot of it still needs to be negotiated. And I actually feel like they're going to have a hard time with that between the Senate and the House agreeing on it.
Exactly. So I don't think it'll pass the Senate.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I don't think that they have all of the plans enacted. So I don't know if that means that they still have to vote on it or not, or if it's just in negotiation stage. I'm not sure exactly how that goes. I do feel like there is going to be some cuts to Medicaid, but it doesn't feel like $1 trillion like they were talking about. It feels like it's negotiated, but still people are angry and pissed off about it. And that may be part of this, people being upset and protesting.
The thing that frosted me about it was when, we've got to cut spending, Elon Musk. Americans have to tighten their belts. So they do all of these departments, all these jobs. Yeah, so Elon Musk can put his people in and he can get the contracts and put more money in his pocket. And then they have the gall to raise the debt ceiling by a couple, 2 or 3 trillion because, we won't have enough money. But yet that raising of debt ceiling goes to give the tax cuts to Trump's super rich friend.
Yeah, it's all about let's hurt the poorest people and the people that are disabled, so that we can give massive tax breaks for the billionaires because they need it, right?
Well, I want to tell you something. Those people are going to stand up and fight back.
They sure are.
There will be cuts to Medicaid, unfortunately. I don't know if it's the draconian cuts that the House bill came up with, but any of those representatives in the House that voted for that, they've just committed political suicide.
They don't even want to talk to their constituents, because we saw in their town halls how pissed off people were.
Oh yeah.
And now they're saying we're not doing any more of those. So
yeah, you know what?
You think your constituents are just going to lay down and just give up and allow it to happen? No. It's going to be massive protests.
What about that woman they drug out? And I guess the next day, that security company, they canceled their contract, and I think the sheriff that was there, I think he got fired, and she's going to sue the pants off of them.
I hadn't heard of that.
I mean, she had the right to freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's unfortunate what's going on, lightly, Nancy. It really is. They're going to try to mess with the Affordable Care Act. But if they start trying to bring back pre-existing conditions and all that stuff, here again, people are just going to go off their rockers.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
But look at the people who are dying because they cut USAID. People are starving. I saw on television that, you know, they have this food paste to feed to infants, and they can't get it. And these people are begging. I mean, obviously they don't care about. Trump does not give one iota about Ukraine. He doesn't give one iota about his constituents. Elon Musk has no constituents.
Yeah.
All they care about is staying in power and lining their own pockets.
Exactly.
They don't care.
Well, what is it too? What they were, Trump's floating the idea of allowing people to become U.S. citizens if they pay $5 million. So any refugees or anybody that's poor or, in his mind, disgusting, they're not worth citizenship. But anybody that can support me and, has wealth and power and privilege, we're okay with them becoming citizens.
And how much of that money will go into his pocket?
No, exactly. It's just crazy.
I don't think he can do that. I think it's a law.
I don't, but he was talking about it. I agree. I don't see that happening. But no, it's pretty funny that Republicans are, when Democrats are in office, it's all about the economy and we got to balance the budget. But then when Republicans are in power, let's give massive tax breaks to billionaires and spend trillions and trillions of dollars just to line our own pockets, right?
And they pulled the same thing that the first time when Trump was president, we got to talk about the economy, this and that. Yet I'm going to build a great wall. I'm going to do this. He wasted more money, spent more money than any president in American history.
In 4 years, one term.
Correct. And this time around, the same thing. You're right, Kevin. It's like, when he was running, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm not gonna touch Medicaid and blah blah blah. And he's already broken those promises.
Oh, yeah. I don't get how the American people can be so brainwashed because they think that the Republicans are good for our economy and for balancing a budget. Democrats have to come in and save the economy, and then they're getting blamed for the previous administration and all the damage that they did. It's crazy.
Well, he's going to spend more money. He's going to put us in more debt. And you're going to be paying a lot more money at the grocery stores. You're going to be paying a lot more money for everything because of price gouging. Who's going to look over to see if our meds are safe, or keep the pharmaceutical companies in line so they can't price gouge, or the gas companies so they can't price gouge? It's going to be inflationary. It's going to be recessionary, and the economy is going to be in the toilet. I just, the hypocrisy of it, when he was running this time, it's a Democrat's fault. Look at how they're wasting money, but yet he's in and he can
Yeah.
waste as
Yeah.
much money, and they're not saying a word about it. You're right. Help
Well,
me with
like
that.
you said, we're going to see fiery Democrats start to really get on board with that aggressive messaging. So,
Some of this is the Democrats' fault
mhm.
because they should have grown a set and been a lot more fiery. Some were, but not this set back and, boo, 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 boo,
Well,
boo.
when people are suffering because of the Trump administration, you're going to see that fire start to come out.
I agree.
Mhm.
But, the Dems just kind of, in a way, sit back and let it happen. They had it all. They had it
Mhm.
all. And every time the Dems have it all, they screw it up.
Yeah.
I see the Dems becoming much more proactive as opposed to reactive. And as
Exactly.
much as I despise Donald Trump, and as much as I despise Elon Musk, and as much as I despise JD Vance, I have to give them credit for one thing. They were proactive and reactive.
Well, very reactive.
The Dems have to be proactive.
Mhm. Well, and I also see too, I mean, we saw like Pete Buttigieg going on Fox News and putting the Republicans straight. I see Democrats actually having to go on conservative networks, and even a big investment into social media to really get their messaging, right and out there.
And that's what Glenn Kirshner is doing.
Mhm.
I got a funny feeling at some point he's going to be asked to run for political office. Joy Reid, that they canceled her show, I'm sure that Washington had its hand in that one.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they got the thumbs up. My little thing is working. I got a feeling that she's going to be offered to run for political office or will. I can't tell which one, but I got a feeling about it.
I do feel like she stays in the media, but it may be more so, we're going to see a lot of people tuning out the mainstream media and starting their own podcasts, ways to get stuff out there on social media. And I see her doing something like that. I wouldn't put it past her to run for political office, but it doesn't feel like it's just yet.
Not just yet. It's going to be a while, but I see that offer. And there's an organization now called Principles First. It's Republicans, but not MAGAs. And they are like George Conway and the people behind the Lincoln Project. And is it Kinzinger? He's a Republican, I think. But anyway, they're getting together, and they just had this big rally, and there were bomb threats called in.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there was supposedly bombs placed in 3 places, and it was signed a MAGA. But they went ahead and had the rally. They had to stop for a while till the all clear was given. But if you read what they stand for, it's what America really should be: honesty, sincerity, integrity. Regardless of your political, whether you're Democrat or Republican. And I see them coming up with a really strong candidate as well. And I want to tell you something. They're going to be an organization that's going to grow exponentially and will fight Trump tooth and nail.
Good.
And so will the
People are saying that Joy already has a YouTube channel. So maybe it's more of something like that.
It's going to be huge, but in a good way.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Here's a good one. Stephanie, that's an excellent question. Stephanie Herman asked, what do you see for the real estate industry for 2025, specifically in the South?
Well, we're going to see houses, the prices go up because the steel and all of the materials that it takes to build with the inflation and the trade war, it's going to drive up costs.
Well, where do we get our steel from? The raw ore. Canada. Where do we get parts from? Canada. We get a lot of stuff from Mexico. So what I see coming is the price of lumber. Oh, then Donald Trump says, well, then we'll start cutting our own lumber from our national forest. Excuse me, that's protected, Donald. I don't think you can do that.
I think he's going to try to tap into some of the parks for their resources.
He will, but I don't know how legal that is. And here again, lawsuit after lawsuit. But it's going to be inflationary. I mean, the prices of steel are going to go sky high. Lumber.
Like this.
So this right now will buy this. Futuristically, once he puts these tariffs, it won't even buy that.
Yeah.
So
I feel like these trade wars that he does and all these tariffs he wants to put in on our trading partners, like I said, I see it blowing up, and I actually see it being reversed very shortly. Like I would say maybe 2 to 3 months.
It will be. I'll give it. I agree with you. I give it 3 to 6 months, because what he's trying to do is bully them into some sort of agreement. They're like, no, we're not putting.
It's going to backfire epically. So I don't see it being very long term for prices, but we are going to see prices and in the South go up for. I'm feeling like up to the middle of the year, before they start to come down a little bit. And
I'm also seeing a lot more foreclosures and bankruptcies, and they'll try to mess with the bankruptcy laws again. But there's going to be a lot of foreclosures. It's like, like I said, this right now will buy you this. In the future, it'll buy you that. So you're gonna pay this for half the candy bar.
Well, and wait till they try to cut like credits and any help for low income people with it for housing. It's going to be a bit tough.
And with all the natural disasters coming and him cutting FEMA, all right, they're going to need these building supplies in some of those states in the South, like Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, with these hurricanes coming, Texas. All of those states, and the ones along the eastern seaboard. You can't deforest all the national forest to get the building supplies to repair all that. Then insurance companies are going to want to stop paying.
Oh well, yeah, I mean they already are trying that, but no, it's I agree. It's going to continue to be a bit rough with all of the extreme weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding.
Emily says, "Can you look at Ivanka and Jared? So upsetting to think they would get away with all they have done."
I haven't thought about them in a while. They've been kind of laying a bit low, haven't they?
There's an old saying, it's not the crime, but the cover-up. I still see Jared under investigation and getting in legally.
I see him in prison at some point.
Okay. I see Elon Musk's empire crumbling as well. Because a lot of these countries are going to pull their contracts that he's got with Starlink and all of that. Trump and Musk are working together because Musk is advising Trump how to make money, and Trump is going to become super wealthy. But I see Trump's empire crumbling as well. I've always seen
Musk's too. I mean, I think the Tesla slot stocks have dropped dramatically, and I've always felt like massive lawsuits against him too. Like he loses his empire.
That's exactly what I see coming.
I just threw a couple cards on Ivanka and Jared, and I don't feel like they're getting along very well. They're butting heads, some fighting, but they're doing, they're living their best life, their luxurious life, and I feel like traveling around the world, seeing the world. So they're probably making deals in other countries.
I see a divorce for those two.
Yeah, I do too. At some point.
And it's going to be a contentious divorce. A very contentious divorce.
Yeah. Well, to me, it almost feels like too, like the whole marriage was just it was a business transaction, is what I pick up.
Oh, this is a good one too. Auntie Vaughn says, what will become of the Tates who landed in Florida?
Interesting.
Yeah, those brothers that were accused of rape and everything in Romania.
And I heard DeSantis said that they weren't welcome in Florida. I had heard somebody said that, or I'd read that somewhere today, because I think they just went to Florida today.
Well, I doubt very seriously if they'll be extradited back to Romania, but
the
Romanians are going to be really hopping mad.
I feel like they're going to be rearrested.
That's what I see too. But I got a feeling that if they try to leave the U.S. and go somewhere else, they'll pull a Putin. Remember when who's the guy that Putin arrested from the airplane? He was very anti-Putin, and Putin sent him to jail, and he died in jail. Navalny.
Oh, Navalny.
I got a funny feeling something like that'll happen to the Tates. Maybe they'll be in another country or something, and see them arrested and taken back to Romania.
Yeah, I do feel, I do feel like their freedom is very shortly lived.
Okay. Lightly Nancy says, should we buy extra food right now? Well, if you buy extra food right now, how long is it going to last? What I tell people to do, rather than paying those exorbitant prices at the grocery stores, go to farmers markets when they open up. Years ago, people used to can and things like that. And I think people are going to kind of get back to some of that so they can preserve.
Getting back to growing their own food, gardening, canning.
Right.
I agree.
Or having if you have a townhouse like I do, a lot of the communities will give you like a little square of a garden space, maybe 100 square feet. But in 100 square feet, you can grow a lot of tomatoes. You can grow a lot of produce and stuff. And, then you can can it for the winter. So
I don't think it's a bad idea to have some extra food. I don't think people need to go crazy with it. But also, too, I do feel like costs going up, for some time, not a long time. But I also feel like, too, with all of the disasters and weather events, it's not a bad idea to have some necessities,
I agree with that. Like, some water on hand, like bottled water, or, dried beans, dried peas, rice, things like that, staples, and have a gas grill, because my townhouse is electric. We got a gas grill, so that goes out. We can at least cook.
Yes. Well, can I make this point? And this is a good point. MC says economic freeze is tomorrow. Don't buy anything. So if you're going to get extra food, do it on March 1st, or what? Just don't do it tomorrow.
I forgot about that. That's right. Tomorrow's the economic freeze. So, and boy, everything it's going to do a lot better than when people have thought. Places are going to be empty, and that's going to hurt. And you know what I see coming, Kevin? I see a lot more of these economic freezes coming, like once or twice a month.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that. I really see a big push. I mean, when you have all of the wealthy out there supporting Trump, and while they don't care about the American people, the people that are needy and disabled and need coverage, but then we want to fund and give them tax breaks on our behalf that we'll have to pay for later. Yeah, I think you're going to see more and more people anti-oligarch, anti-billionaire. Anti-corporation. So
Creative Film Music says, I had a dream last night of visiting with former President Bush and woke up thinking about where are our former presidents and all this crazy. They're probably shaking their heads going, what is going on?
Yeah. Well, and I do feel like they are going to, when things get really crazy, they're going to join the fight, the protests too. I don't know about Bush. I was pretty disappointed that, other Republicans had endorsed Kamala during the election, but Bush refused to endorse either or. He kind of just sat by idly. But I do feel like our previous presidents coming forward and standing up for our Constitution.
I never thought I'd say this because I did not like George Bush. But I'd rather see him in office than this idiot.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote a book once. I'll show you if I can find it. Give me a second. I might not be able to find it. It's got to be here somewhere. Here again, when you look for something, you can't find it. Oh, gosh. When I'm done here.
You're good, Mel.
I can't find it. got to be here somewhere.
You said a book that you wrote?
Well, I don't know what happened to it. They come in here and they take my books.
Mm.
It was a joke, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I knew somebody who worked for a publishing company, and I asked if he could do it. And it said, "The Philosophy of George W. Bush," and it had his picture on the front. And the back, it talked about 911. And it was written by G.B. Eagle. So G.B. Eagle, my dog's name was Gizmo. So Gizmo.
Mm-hmm.
Eagle. So when you open it up, it was just a whole book of blank pages. I don't know what I did with it, but it's here.
Yeah.
I was looking for it, but anyway.
You'll have to find it and bring it next week.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I still agree that I see former presidents speaking up, and these generals he fired, he came around because they were black. I see generals behind the scenes. If he tries to pull martial law, they're going to stand up against him too.
I agree.
I
agree. I don't see it working. Like I said, it's going to be that will backfire epically. I even see Republicans saying he needs to go.
Charlotte Getgood says earlier timeline now for Trump and Elon, given speed of Trump's actions.
Well, it shows their desperation to get the agenda done as quickly as possible, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It says, Marie Lourdes Galarza says, "Hi, will Ukraine ever join NATO?" I saw Ukraine joining NATO.
I still see them joining NATO at some point.
I don't know if Zelensky signs that, then they can't join NATO for X amount of years. But, the thing is, Putin told them if they didn't join NATO that he wouldn't do anything. And they didn't join NATO, and he invaded anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't buy any of Putin keeping his word or Trump keeping his.
Oh, exactly. But I think Zelensky knows too. He may try to offer something. Like I said, I feel like a negotiation, but I also don't think he's fully trusting that deal also.
Right. He might have something up his sleeve too.
Yeah, for sure.
Elflower 1 star says they took Medicaid and now they may take Medicare. So they haven't taken Medicaid yet.
Yeah.
So the opera's not over until.
Well, and that's the thing though too is yeah, sure, it's scary of all of the what ifs and even some of the things that are happening, but no, right, it hasn't happened yet, so we have to be very careful about stepping into the fear. I mean, you can think of it as what is it? False equivalence appearing real is the acronym for fear.
Yes.
So, yes, I mean, it's scary. And like I said, I do feel like there are some cuts. I don't feel like it's totally gutted though either. It feels like there's some negotiations. I don't see it being as bad as what they said, almost $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid. I don't think it will be that bad.
And I'm on Medicare, so but they might raise the prices of it, but I'm just worried about pharmaceutical companies getting out of control, the drug prices, and that's happening already.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, Lucretia Valdez says, "I'm sorry, but I thought Auntie Mel was wearing a priest black shirt with a white collar. No, it's my wolf."
Can I say, when you first came on live that's what backstage, I thought the same thing. It kind of looked like you had the white collar going on a little bit.
No, this is the whole thing. It's on the sleeves and it's on the back, and it's just the whole thing, which I wore also because somebody was telling me about the wild horses in Montana, and somebody said, "Well, if you're going to take all these trees and everything, what about the horses?" And Elon Musk said, "Kill them."
It's terrible.
And and I'm all about saving the wolves, and I just hope they don't have an open season on them either. But Lucretia, this is about as close as I'll ever be to being a priest. Trust me on that one. Okay.
Oh, we have almost 2,000 in the chat. Thank you all so much for
Yeah,
being here.
thank you. Oh, here's something. Breaking news. Jacqueline Anderson. Michael Popak of Midas Touch just posted Doge is to be deposed for a case. Is this the beginning of the end for Muskrat? Yes. Trump stands by him, but I still see a huge blow up between him.
I do too. And I got a hit. I saw Musk like fleeing the country and being terrified for like his life. It almost felt like. Yeah, I do. And I don't think he may be, they may be in cahoots for a little while, but I agree it's short-lived. I almost feel like by summer, like that whole relationship kind of imploding there.
Okay. This is a good one. Nancy Robbins says, hi guys, there must be a larger lesson here. Otherwise, why would we have to go through this? Especially because most of us voted for Kamala. What is the universal lesson? I feel there's a Hawaiian word called mana. It means power or energy. And it's okay for us to share it with someone or something. We do not allow anything to rob us of it. If we do, that is kapu. Kapu means forbidden under penalty of death. Maybe not a physical death, but that emotional emptiness.
Yeah. Well, it is a death in a sense. When we're so stuck in fear and we're not living our lives, we're just frozen.
So it's a message for us not to let these people rob us of our mana. And what can we do about it? Exactly what we're doing. Speak up. Have the day of protest. Don't buy stuff. Eggs are so high. Tell them we're not buying your eggs. We've had enough. It reminds me of broadcast news. I'm damn mad. Remember that? All right. So it's about not allowing anything to rob us of our power. So we have to be pono, P-O-N-O. Pono means what's right for us as a collective.
Yeah.
I think the other lesson is not to take our democracy lightly. And many
or for granted.
That's right. Many people did. And it was very precarious, and it's precarious right now.
Yeah.
And our lesson is to bring forth our warrior spirit and stand up to preserve our democracy. And the spirit of Abraham Lincoln tells me we will.
Yeah.
It's about not being apathetic. Oh, I just won't go vote because they're going to win anyway. Or if I vote, I'm not going to vote because I don't like, I'm just not going to vote.
You can't give up.
Not voting was a vote for Trump. So it's just it's our right to vote. And also for us to stand up for truth, honesty, integrity. Those are all lessons here. Yeah. And to not vilify anybody because they're Mexican or are black or Muslim or this or that. We're all here together, and it's about all of us working together to stop tyranny. Those are the lessons, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% with that. I think a lot of us have said too, it's going to continue to bring awareness to all the corruption and everything going on so that we can fix it, so that we can save our democracy, but we're going to have to fight for it. And we can't allow the fear to consume us, but we have to allow it to push us forward, as Mel would say, right?
Just like our founding parents, they fought for our independence from England, and they didn't give up.
Yeah.
We have to fight for our freedom.
Yeah. And also too, I think, it's about coming together. Even, I mean, obviously we have to stand up for what's right and, fight all the injustices and all the negativity out there. But as other people awaken during this, we're going to have to all come together to fight, to keep our country strong too. So it's also about not allowing collectively for us to be so divided right now too, but to really come together as a community and help those that are suffering, to help everybody, so that we can all move forward and fight to keep our country safe.
The flag of Kentucky says, "United we stand, divided we fall."
Yeah.
Okay, we got time for a little bit more. NOAA, NWS, National Weather Service had suffered mass layoff. I live in tornado-prone area, and NWS had staffing issues. Do you see them coming back, or do we have to deal with major? I think she's probably going to say with major
storms
on their own. I do see that there's a lot more major storms coming, a lot more tornadoes coming, unprecedented.
Yeah, but I do feel like there'll be reinvestment after Trump's gone. But I agree that it's going to be a safety issue by not having all those resources to alert the public when there are big storms, to keep people safe. So I do see some issues with that as well.
And here again, people are going to be like, wait a minute. We needed this alert. We needed these weather alerts. We needed that. And Donald, you did away with them. Or Elon, you did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad that it has to come to that.
Well, it's going to be the same thing with all the cuts to FEMA and all of their staff, too. I mean, resources after there is devastating weather events to actually, give resources out to people that need it. So it's just going to all be a bit of a mess. But that's where that, like I said, that sense of community and helping one another is going to be critical to getting through a lot of the devastation.
I agree. Okay. Vivian Hernandez, why the Republican Congress are so afraid of Trump?
Well, first off, we know how the cult is. I mean, anybody that comes up against Trump, he attacks, and then they get death threats, and their family gets death threats. So there's that. I think a lot of them are also, in for their own gain and power too. We've seen a few, not yet, but in the past when he was president, stand up against him. And I do feel like we're going to continue to see people standing up against Trump.
And I totally agree with that. But psychically, my light bulb just went on.
What you get?
But many of them aren't afraid of Trump. Many of them down below all that are bigots and fascists and racist.
Oh, yeah.
And many of them agree with him. And that's the frightening part of it. Some don't, but they're fearful. Yeah. But many do. And
I agree.
We have to stand up and say, wait a minute, this is not acceptable. This is not democracy.
Exactly. But like I said, I do feel Republicans standing up against Trump. We were talking about maybe him declaring martial law, and I see it being huge amongst Republicans standing up against that too. So, but I agree, there are a lot that are on the MAGA train.
Let's see. Here we go. Kathy Reagan's. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Yeah. Kathy's a sweetheart. Hello, aloha, Auntie Mel, and the very handsome Kevin Chandler. My question is, do you both see the Orange Men as pressuring Zelensky to accept Trump-Putin's peace deal? I truly pray not. Yeah, they're pressuring him, but his own parliament is vehemently opposed to a deal for Putin.
I don't see him coming up, Russia and Trump and the U.S. has all been kind of coming up with some kind of deals and talks, leaving Ukraine out of it. But I don't see Zelensky accepting that deal.
I don't either. Well, good. Let's pray. Yeah. All right. I'm going to touch on this one just real quick, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
Marcia Trella says, because of the tariffs, less food that we get from Mexico, the bird flu Less chicken, less beef. Farmers won't have immigrants to clear food from the field. Stock up now. See the movie Everybody a Day Without Mexicans. And somebody said send that to, you know what? Write letters to your congressperson, your senators. Tell them to see that movie. Write letters to the White House if you have to. Send letters to Musk. You know, the whole thing with the bird flu, I know it exists. But in Mexico, you can get eggs for $1.89 a dozen. And I'm sure there's bird flu there.
Yeah.
So I think part of that whole bird flu thing, it drove prices up, but a lot of it is price gouging. That's what I see psychically.
Yeah.
That's why I don't buy eggs.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with what she's saying too. You know, a lot of immigrants aren't going to work for fear of being deported. So there's going to be a lot of food that just rots in the fields. But that's where we were talking about earlier. I think we both see people starting their own gardens and canning again too. It's not a bad idea to stock up, especially if you have a little bit of extra money, just so that you can have those resources there. Like I said, though, too, I don't feel it being a long-term issue.
But non-perishable.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of, you know what Trump, my light bulb just went on again. I feel like Trump is going to say, well, you know, if they're itinerant workers, they can stay here and work. Then they got to go back and we'll bring them back again. And those itinerant workers are going to be, nope, we're not doing that. So that's going to blow up too.
Yeah. Well, I had Lori from the Way of Positive Change on my channel earlier this week, and we'd actually read on if Trump was happy with the deportation and how that was all going. And he, you know, it's not going anywhere near as quickly or as aggressively as what he wanted. So he was pretty angry in the cards that we threw. So,
well, you know, they're talking about building these detention camps for people that are being deported. Let's call it what they really are: concentration camps.
Yeah,
exactly. Didn't work in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And even the Cubans are going to be pissed and tell them you can't do that here. So anyway,
yeah, a lot of dark.
On a happy note,
that going on, but yeah, let's shift the energy.
On a happy note, we will get through this dark night of the soul.
Yes.
We can't lose our voice or our power, and I predict that the majority of us will stand up for our democracy and our rights. That's what I say. It'll be tough getting there, but we will get there.
We will get there. And like I said earlier, our democracy, our country will be even stronger when it's all said and done.
There you go. Okay, Kevin, me and my pre-sleep garb. I'm going to go home. It's always a pleasure. Next Thursday, your channel. Everybody out there, thank you so much for your loving support. Stay safe, stay well. And Kevin and I will see you next Thursday. Please go to our channels and give it the thumbs up.
There you go.
And hit that bell below and that subscribe button.
Yes, we appreciate all the support.
When I get to 35,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away another 3 free half-hour readings. And I've got openings to my Peru trip and Iceland.
Nice.
So if you're interested, call the number below. All right. Kevin?
All right.
They get a hold of you. It's listed below. How do they do it?
Yeah, I have, I'm offering Reiki sessions right now on the website, or like a reading and Reiki combination on the website below, kevinslovingvibrations.com. I also have a Holy Fire Reiki level 1 and 2 class in May. If you want more info on that, you can see that under the class tab on my website, or you can send me an email if you have any questions.
Oh, and by the way, my trips are listed on my website. So if you're curious about the trip, you can go on my website. They're on there. And if you'd like more information, call the number below.
All right, my friend. Well, everybody have a great evening. Look forward to seeing Mel next week, and Sending you all a lot of love.
Stay safe, stay well.